Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about this watch, the Omega Seamaster Diver 300M in green on green. This watch was first released in 2022, and ever since then, a lot of articles and a lot of videos have been made about it. But one thing that I think a lot of people don't mention is that this watch represents the single best value in Swiss watchmaking today. With a retail price around 6,000 euros, but readily available and with ADs willing to offer you from a small 5% discount to even a bigger 10% discount, realistically speaking, this is a 5,000 euro watch. This effectively undercuts its biggest rival by half because the Rolex Submariner is around 10,000 US dollars, 10,000 euros with no discounts and year-long wait lists. So, this is something that I think not a lot of people realize when thinking about this watch. It has one of the best designs in the sense that it is relatable and easily identifiable as a Swiss diving watch, and yet it doesn't look like a Submariner homage or a Submariner clone. With its curvaceous case and the wavy dial and the skeletonized hands, and the contentious but also charismatic helium escape valve at 10 o'clock, it has a design that is uniquely established in the DNA of the Omega manufacturer. So, with a retail price of realistically around 5,000 euros, this represents amazing value. And in my opinion, it represents the best value in Swiss watchmaking today. And the reason why I felt the need to share this with you guys is that after having just witnessed the release of the new Omega Planet Ocean, I think that the Omega Seamaster Diver is next in line for a refresh. And I think that as amazing as the next iteration of this watch will be, for sure it will also come with a price increase. And, if the Planet Ocean is an indication of the future of the DNA of the Omega brand, I'm not sure that a lot of enthusiasts would like a more square with like a faux integrated bracelet type of design. That design to me, while I understand why people love it, it just is a little bit more derivative. It looks a little bit like a Grand Seiko or like even a Seiko diver. You know, it's not something that I think I associate with Omega as much as I did with the previous generation's Planet Ocean, which had, the iconic lyre lugs, curved lugs, dual faceted, curvaceous case. And I was never a big fan of the Planet Ocean, the third generation, mostly because it had lost its orange bezel. Instead, orange was used more like an accent instead of a main color, and also the thickness. The thickness was a bit much. So I applaud the new release for tackling these two important attributes. It's thinner, and that for sure will attract many people for improved wearability. However, when it comes to the design, and I have a preference for iconic design, for let's say non-derivative design. When it comes to the design, I don't feel that the design is necessarily an evolution in the right direction. It is one of the first Omega watches where I can clearly see influences from other manufacturers slipping in there, maybe consciously, but maybe not consciously, but they are there in the design. And if that also happens to the Omega Seamaster Diver 300M line, where instead of its superb curvaceous case, with the wavy dial and with the scalloped bezel and with the twisted lyre lugs, is going to become a more angular, with a faux integrated bracelet type of design, and coupled with a significant price increase, I think, now is the time if you want to get one of the best divers out there and the best value in Swiss watchmaking. And this watch, why I like it so much is because Not only is it a beautiful watch from a watchmaking perspective, but it's a very practical companion. Like, I'm not a super active person, but I do have a few active passions. I play golf, I play tennis, I like to ride my bike, and I like water sports. One of my favorite is stand up paddle boarding, right? And this is a watch where I can do any of these activities. Not only does it not hinder them, but it actually contributes to them. Like when I play golf, I imagine myself, like Rory McIlroy wannabe, because Rory's actually wearing this watch, lifting many trophies, and because of its rubber strap, it's very light on the wrist, so I can actually play golf with it. Same with stand-up paddleboarding or water sports in general, whether it is just going to the pool with my kids or stand-up paddleboarding or swimming in the sea. This is a watch where I can comfortably wear it, and it helps, make the whole experience better. I imagine myself like, not just stand up paddleboarding for fitness purposes, but actually on a small water adventure, exploring different things and seeing different things. And this becomes like my adventure companion. And, the fact that it's a good quality watch helps it, but the fact that there's not a lot of hype around it, I feel like I can wear it to the beach. I feel like I can wear it when I'm traveling abroad. I don't feel like it puts a target on my back the way some other equally recognizable watches would, right? The classic example is its biggest rival, the Rolex Submariner. I don't feel comfortable traveling with the Rolex Submariner. I wouldn't feel comfortable stand-up paddleboarding or going to the beach with the Rolex Submariner, because I just don't want to attract unwanted attention to myself. Whereas with this watch, that's where it shines, because from a practical perspective, it doesn't bring any unwanted attention, and the quality is there. Everything that you expect from a high quality Swiss watch made by a true manufacturer is there, and none of the noise and none of the things that, um, let's say, are problematic about owning a high quality Swiss watch. None of that is there. So this is why, to me, this is number one. It's the best value, bar none, at 5,000 euros. When you think about it, it is still a lot of money, but in the context of watches as a whole, I think the only rivals that this watch has come from Tudor. Tudor is the only true manufacturer that competes in the Swiss made watch scene, and undercuts Omega by just a little bit. So this is a 5,000 euro, $5,000 watch, and the Tudors, the divers in the Black Bay line, they start at about 4,000. But for example, if you go for a monochrome, or if you go for a 41 with a burgundy bezel, you're already at 4,500. And not just when it comes to specs, but when it comes to the whole package, brand recognition, brand heritage. Uh, you know, it's just, I'm not gonna say anything bad about Tudor, because I absolutely love Tudor, but you have to admit it's not on the same level. Omega is closer to Rolex than it is to Tudor in watchmaking, but in price, it's just a little bit above Tudor. And when you go to a Tudor boutique, they're not going to offer you a discount. So if it's 4,500, you'll pay 4,500. But when you go to Omega, it's 6,000, but they will offer you a discount. So realistically, it's 5,000. So just for 5,000 euros more, you get a lot of watch. And again, it's a very practical option. I also love Tudors. But Tudors have this vintagey, they kind of are reminiscent of a Tudor of a Rolex from decades ago. And this is an advantage from an aesthetics perspective. It's an advantage, but it's also a disadvantage because they're not as versatile. So for example, when I go stand up paddleboarding, I don't feel 100% as comfortable wearing a Tudor as I do wearing this watch, because this watch is sporty and modern and contemporary, whereas the Tudor has that vintage vibe, and it kind of feels more adequate if I was going to a beach bar or to a beach party. That's when I would wear the Tudor. But if I'm going to swim, the Tudor kind of feels like a little bit too dressy, a little bit vintagey, a little bit, Of course, it depends on your aesthetic. If you're the type of person who likes to dress very classy, even when you're going at the beach, I see a lot of guys wearing hats. I see a lot of guys wearing white shirts unbuttoned, two, three buttons. If that's your aesthetic, the Tudor makes perfect sense, but also does the Omega Seamaster Diver 300M in green on green. It would look equally amazing, but I get it. But if you're just out for sports, going to the pool, going for a swim, going stand-up paddle boarding, and it's the same for golf. Like I don't feel comfortable wearing the Tudor golfing because it's just I don't associate it with that sport particularly. Number one, and secondly, I feel like with the bracelet, whether you go for the 5 link Jubilee bracelet or whether you go for the oyster style rivet bracelet, it's just you're gonna destroy it playing golf. Like just putting your clubs in and taking your clubs out, you're gonna in 3 to 5 rounds of golf, your watch will look like you wore it for 20 years. Whereas with this watch, because it has basically a sapphire and ceramic face and a rubber strap, the occasional time where you do touch it with a club head or you touch it with something hard, it doesn't scratch. You have to touch it in specific points for it to leave a mark. But the rubber strap and the face being made of sapphire and ceramic, it's gonna look pristine even if you wear it. And it's the same with tennis. Like when I play tennis, I associate tennis with Rolex in my head, because the legendary Roger Federer uses his Rolex watches when he practices, and I remember seeing him practice, and always wearing his watch. So to me, that's kind of uh, where the association goes. But so again, that's why I don't feel, like when I wear a Tudor watch, I don't feel like it's the same. It feels like it doesn't belong somehow. I don't know if it makes sense or not. Maybe it's just my snobby, mental games that I play. But to me, it just feels like it doesn't belong. Whereas with this watch, even though I don't know particularly of any player who actually wears this while practicing or is sponsored by Omega, I do feel that it belongs aesthetically. It looks like a watch that a tennis player would wear, and a lot of tennis players have worn similar watches, even though perhaps not this particular watch. But you have Stan Wawrinka, who's wearing a rubber strap. He used to be wearing a rubber strap AP, and now he's wearing a rubber strap Norcane. Um, you had Serena Williams. She was wearing a rubber strap AP. You have a lot of younger generation players who are wearing all of these amazing watches, like Debetune, and they're wearing FP Journe. Dona Vekic is wearing the FP Journe Elegante, for example. So yeah, this watch, a lot of players are using the Gerald Charles, again on a rubber strap. There's even a tennis edition which has a green rubber strap on it. So yeah, I just feel like it belongs. Green is the color of Wimbledon, is the oldest tennis tournament in the world, and one of the best. So whether I'm playing tennis, whether I'm playing golf, whether I'm stand-up paddleboarding, or whether I'm just traveling or going to the beach, this watch is a practical companion. It can be your one and only watch for life, and you're not going to be feeling like you're missing anything, right? The watchmaking is there, the comfort is there. Also about practicality, the master chronometer certification. It's not something that I think about, and it's not something that is very high up on my list of priorities. I think of it more as a marketing thing than as a real, important thing when it comes to a watch. But the fact that it is so resistant to magnetic fields and so resistant to shock and stuff like that, it does make it a very practical companion. Like you're not afraid that it's going to break. You're not afraid that, oh, if I play tennis with it, it's going to break, or if I play golf with it, it's going to break, or if I travel with it, it's going to break, or if I, no. This watch, you can, it's tough as nails. You can literally, I think you can wear it your whole life and it's not going to break. I don't know about service intervals. I've heard people wearing these for 10 years without servicing them and, just working as well as in the first day. I haven't had that experience myself because I purchased this watch in 2022, December 2022, so it's only been 3 years. But for these 3 years, it's worked perfectly, and it's just one watch that I keep coming back to it, and that it's absolutely a banger. And I wanted to share this with you guys that the practicality and the value for money is unprecedented. Thank you. Catch you the next one. Peace.